Only a handful of the individuals who have held the office of President of the United States can, in the opinion of most historians, be included in the conversation about the nation's most significant leaders. They all managed to leave their stamp on history, despite the fact that some were challenged by internal crises and others by foreign conflict. Let's take a look at the top 10 most loved presidents of the United States. #10. Barack Obama. Barack Obama, the first African American to hold the office of President of the United States, has promised to usher in sweeping reforms during his term in office. It was important to him that race relations in the United States get better. Historians still give Obama good marks despite the fact that his presidency was marred by racial unrest and several incidents of police brutality against black people. The Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it is more commonly known, is Obama's signature domestic policy achievement, although it has been widely panned by Republicans. However, the Affordable Care Act's expansion of health insurance to 20 million people and Obama's leadership during the Great Recession and the rescue of the American auto sector are the legacies that will be most often cited when discussing his presidency. #9. Harry Truman. America's 33rd President, Harry S. Truman, served from 1945 to 1953. After serving as vice president for only 82 days before Franklin D. Roosevelt's unexpected death on April 12, 1945, he was sworn in as president. His best attribute was his ability to lead in a crisis and his proficiency in foreign affairs. The dropping of the atomic bomb on Japan is what really cemented his legacy as the man who ended World War II in the Pacific. The Korean War, the Truman Doctrine, and the Marshall Aid Program are also associated with him. #8. John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, whose full name was John Fitzgerald Kennedy, was born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts, in the United States. He died on November 22, 1963, in Dallas, Texas. John F. Kennedy served as the 35th President of the United States from 1961 to 1963. During his presidency, the United States was involved in a number of international crises, most notably in Cuba and Berlin. Despite these challenges, John F. Kennedy was successful in securing the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and while he was traveling in a motorcade in Dallas, he was shot down and killed. #7. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was indeed the third President of the United States and one of the country's founding fathers. His time in office spanned 1801–1809. He served as the country's first Secretary of State from 1789 to 1794, and as its second Vice President from 1797 to 1801 before rising to the presidency. His presidency is remembered for the Louisiana Purchase, which doubled the size of the young republic by acquiring 828 million square miles of territory from France. His foresight, ability to influence the people, and results are what led to his high approval rating. #6. Ronald Reagan. Historians have a soft spot for Ronald Reagan because of the agenda he set and the way he interacted with people. When in office, Reagan proved to be a highly competent leader, and he brought about many positive reforms for the country. He collaborated with lawmakers to create a package that would boost the economy and boost the defense budget. In the years following the formal conclusion of the Cold War, Reagan will also be recognized for promoting his concept of peace through strength. #5. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson, who served as president from March 4, 1913, until March 4, 1921, began his first term with the pledge to protect the nation from being involved in any international conflicts. But by the time he was in his second term, Wilson had changed his mind and led the United States into World War I. After the war ended, Wilson launched an aggressive push to form a worldwide alliance to forestall future wars. As a result of the United States' rejection of the Treaty of Versailles, the subsequent League of Nations, a forerunner to the United Nations, was severely limited in its ability to function. #4. Theodore Roosevelt. After William McKinley was shot and killed in office, Theodore Roosevelt became president from September 14, 1901, until March 4, 1909. After his election, Roosevelt became the youngest president ever, at the age of 42. With the use of laws, Roosevelt was able to limit the influence of businesses like Standard Oil and the railroads across the country. Additionally, he established the first national parks and strengthened consumer rights through the Pure Food and Drug Act, the forerunner of the present Food and Drug Administration. By mediating the conclusion of the Russo-Japanese War and overseeing the construction of the Panama Canal, Roosevelt pursued an assertive foreign policy. #03 George Washington. It was clear that without George Washington's leadership, the United States would never achieve their goal of independence. Even before he was officially elected President of the United States, he started things going in 1776 and put down the Newburgh Conspiracy in 1783. His moral leadership, competent economic administration, and overall performance were important to the early achievements of this fledgling nation. He was a staunch supporter of the Constitution because he believed that the Articles of Confederation were inadequate for American needs. When his first tenure was ending, he was dismayed to see the country so politically divided, and at the end of his second term, he chose to resign. #2 Franklin D. Roosevelt. The United States' longest-serving president was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who served from March 4, 1933 to April 12, 1945. He was elected in the midst of the Great Depression and served until his death in 1945, only a few months before the end of World War II. The federal government's influence grew substantially during his presidency. Federal programs like Social Security, which were established during Roosevelt's tenure and were designed to help the country's most vulnerable citizens during the Great Depression, are still in place and continue to do so today. The war also gave the United States a new and prominent role in international affairs, which it still maintains today. #01 Abraham Lincoln. The list is topped by Abraham Lincoln, who is more beloved than any other president. Not only do historians hold him in high regard for his crisis leadership, vision, and performance, but he also frequently appears first on rankings of the best presidents in history. He won the Civil War and kept the Union together, ensuring the freedom of slaves. According to the biography of the 16th president, his eloquence for democracy and determination that the Union was worth keeping represent the values of self-government that all nations aim to accomplish. Lincoln's legacy will live on because of his humanity and the enormous influence he had on the country. That's the end. Make sure to subscribe and like us. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video from us.